Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'll be talking about transit Pluto Conjunct Natal. And when you're talking about transits that involve Pluto, it can be about transformation, power, obsession, control, fixation. When a transit Pluto conjoins one's natal moon, well, it may manifest in transformation, power, obsession, control. It could be over one's emotions. It might be a time when you might feel there's more of a need to control your emotions more so than usual, whether it can be um, out of fear, perhaps of facing repercussions if you don't control them or what have you. This could actually be very beneficial, like say in a crisis situation. Excuse me, but anyway, could also be a time to, when looking at this, where it might be a little harder to express one's feelings um, because Pluto is about obliteration and it's about control, but it could also be very intense feelings at this time and powerful emotions as well as another way it might be expressed. And also, the moon is connected with our reactions and responses. So it might say, in some cases, it might even give more power to those reactions and responses. Say if it's in Gemini as an example, it can be more high strung, very animated reactions, excitable type of responses. And the thing about it too is when we look at this, but at the same time, it could also be Pluto again is connected with control, it's obliteration, it's figurative death. Um, you might feel, your emotions might have died at this time, basically. It might feel like it's very hard to express them. But at the same time, this could also be about gaining more control in your home and your family life. It can be, say, if it was in Taurus, it could be about more stability in that, or more peace and tranquility and having more control over that in terms of your home and family. But keep in mind the moon is also associated with the mother, so it could also manifest in some cases. It could be power struggles with the mother, or maybe people that are prominent in your home or family life. It could be people that you're simply close to home with. Um, it can also be a time to look at this. The moon is also connected with the public, so it might be a time to where you might have some mobility. Not saying this is always good, but I mean, Pluto is about manipulation. If you're somebody that's going out and you're selling something, like some kind of salesman, it might be a time where you might feel like you could manipulate the more in terms of selling something, whether it might be a car or what have you, and put your spin on it to make the sale. Um, it might be a time to as well, when you look at this, I mean, the moon is associated with the unconscious and the subconscious as well. So it might be a time to where, I mean, it can be you're sleeping, or it might be, could be dreams that are nuclear, that are kind of like nightmares, what they call them. But it could also be about how having some kind of, maybe in some isolated cases, about wanting maybe some unconscious need or subconscious need might be to have some kind of power some way. And it could be where you might be unconsciously fixated on something. You may not even realize it um, at this time. And it might be, say if it's in the second house, it could be something of a monetary nature, material items, possessions. Now, anatomically speaking, the moon is associated with the chest, the breast, the stomach, and water retention. It's also connected with the left or the right eye, depending on gender. So, in some cases, this could be surgery on one of those things. It could be something where it might be a very deep issue that might require, X-rays or some MRI. Um, it can be something too as well. I mean, looking at this in terms of far as the moon goes. The moon is associated with prominent women in our life. Some cases it might manifest in a death in one of these people. It could be a power struggle with a prominent woman in your life scheme. And really, remember that the moon is also connected with one's soul. So it might be in some cases where it's really, it might give, I mean, Pluto is it's about power, but it's about, really might give more power to that side of you, but your soul is, I mean, if it's in Gemini, for example, it might give more power to a soul that's very youthful. At this time, it can be something to where when you look at this as well, I mean that the moon can also be connected with memories as well. So it can be a time you might find yourself reminiscing about situations that might have involved a power, control, or manipulation, or even jealousy. Might have been some situations that might also have involved deep research or investigation, or maybe a crime that may have been committed against you. Um, could also be a time too, when you look at this, another way this can manifest and pan out is that Pluto is also connected with deep research and investigation. So it might be, and the moon is the family, close to home. You might find yourself more inclined to have a greater propensity to research, maybe investigate and research very deeply matters pertaining to your home, your family, your ancestry. It might even be your roots, your traditions. Say if it's in the eighth house as an example, it could be where maybe you're even running a criminal background check on one or more of these people. It could be a time too where you might be more fixated and obsessed with your emotional needs at this time, more so than usual. Say this falls in Capricorn, um, and it's in the fourth house as an example. It could be gaining structure and discipline and more consistency in your home, in your family life at this time. Remember, the moon is also about feeling how we feel. So you might feel more like doing something that's Pluto related. It could be something connected to the occult, which can include astrology, recycling, transformation. It could be rebuilding an engine in a car. And you might also feel more like tackling on a crisis situation, more so than usual. Now, speaking of crisis situations, remember Pluto can be connected with crisis, and really at this time, a crisis situation may impact one's emotional state more so than usual. This could really be about very turbulent emotions. At this time, they might be more convoluted than usual. And it might be too that you might sadly at this time as well, Pluto is connected with death. It can manifest in more morbid or morose, perhaps dreams, because remember the moon is associated with the unconscious. It can be maybe that it might be some isolated instances. It could also, this transit may be expressed in the death of a prominent female. It could be the mother. It could be a family member, someone you're simply close to home with. And again, going back to, I mean, the fact that this is Pluto can be connected with surgery. It might be something in isolated cases that surgery may take place on the stomach or chest or breast area. It might be on the left or the right eye, depending on gender. It could also be a time too where it's interesting is because Pluto is associated with toxins as well. I believe toxins, if they were absorbed in your system, they may have an effect on the stomach. That could be something you might want to confer on the internet, but if that's the case, there might be some issues with that at this time. Now let's say if this transit falls in Aquarius as an example, I spoke before, about how this could be manifest in some kind of surgery on the stomach, the chest, the breast area, the left or the right eye, depending on gender. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back. But anyway, now if it were to fall in Aquarius, say it could be some kind of microbots or doing surgery. I need some kind of innovative or advanced surgical technique. It may be a bionic eye. I don't know if those even exist, but Aquarius is associated with bionics. It's ruled, this is ruled by Uranus. Um, it can be some surgery that might have been connected with intermittent pain or discomfort in the stomach, the chest or breast area. Again, if this falls in Aquarius, which it will from the time of this video, in like a few years. And keep in mind, this could also be about very jealous or vengeful feelings that you might be experiencing at this time, and guard against very destructive emotional energy as well. The emotional response might be more powerful at this time and more intense, more so than usual, to certain things, but remember that it can also manifest in having more control over your emotions. Remember that conjunctions in astrology are neutral. They can go, they can either be good, they can be adverse, but a lot of that is predicated and dependent on the aspects it makes to points. This transit makes to other points in your chart. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.